2002 Volkswagen Jetta with a 1.8 liter turbo. Gonna do a thermostat. Thermostat's behind the alternator behind here. If you look down past the alternator connector, it's right down there. So you want to remove this vapor line. It had two 10s holding it on, 10mm nuts. And then you take the two bolts, the Allen bolts out. They go into the intake. Those are two 5mm. 5mm Allens. Okay. Remove them. Lift it up. Pull your dipstick tube out of the block. Pull your dipstick out. Get it out of the way. Okay, now as you pull the dipstick out and you pull the tube up out of there, the whole thing's loose. Then you want to unplug, I think it's the knock sensor. You squeeze these ends together and pull it off. Put it aside. So now you can get in there a little bit more easier. So I want to take off my alternator connector just to get that out of the way. And it's got these goofy connectors that I can never remember how to undo them. Can never remember how to undo them. All right, so get yourself a pick, an angle pick. Stick one end in there, and you go like this. Stick it in there. I don't know if you can see me, and I'm pushing that end down. Let's see if I can magnify it. All right, now let's see. Hold on, bear with me. Stick it in there now. See it? I'm lifting it up, all right? Lift it up, pull the connector off. Lift it up, pull the connector off. All righty? As you're lifting that little connector up, then you want to stick your screwdriver in between there, and you want to twist it. And help gets it off, okay? And you're using your little pick, pushing that thing down, stick your screwdriver in there and push it off. All right, see the neck? There's the hose, and that's the clamp. And you'll see the Allens that hold it on there. There's one right there. As you go down, there's one right there. Okay? Here's the dipstick tube. Just clips in there on the block. And that piece, you push down on it off the bracket and pull this thing up out of the way. Okay? There's a little piece right there. See, it goes right here. Now you can take off the clamp for the hose and pull the hose off and get your pan under there and catch your fluid. We got lucky. They're 10mm head bolts. I used a 1/4 inch swivel. See if I can find it in here. Oh, where are we at? There it is. Got the magnification way high. So 1/4 inch swivel, long extension. Get down in there. Broke them both loose. Now I'm going to remove the bolts. When you remove your bolts, make sure you get your magnet down in there and grab them. You don't want to drop them. Okay, now that we got those out, now we can break the little thermostat housing loose and pull it up. And there it is. When you take that out, you're gonna get a lot of coolant coming out. Now that you get the thermostat out, now you gotta get down in there and clean that rust off of that surface, because you don't want that rust holding your housing up a little bit from being nice and flat and sealed against the O-ring on the thermostat. So you scratch it off, do what you can to get that rust off that surface. See if you can get a wire wheel down in there on a long extended die grinder or something. Or a real long scraper, or even a pointy, nice sharp screwdriver. This is what I used. An extended die grinder with a wore out small brush one and this one. They all work good. If you can see it, pretty good. Pretty clean. I'm ready to go back together. Okay, install the thermostat, and then get your O-ring and load it up with some Sil Glide, some dielectric grease, something. Okay? I wouldn't use grease, but dielectric grease. Dielectric grease or Sil Glide. Okay, and then put it over the thermostat. Get inside the groove. The grease will help hold the O-ring in there and help installation. Okay, thermostat, O-ring. Now, you're gonna stick your thermostat housing down in there and start your top bolt first. Use your long extension with your 10mm swivel, 1/4 inch, and get that bolt started. Also, inspect your thermostat housing. Make sure your little ears are not cracked off. If it looks good, then you're good. Okay? Now you can install it. Remember? Stick it in there like that, and get the top bolt started, and then work on the bottom one. You might have to stick some paper on top of your bolt and then put it onto your socket to help hold the bolt in, unless you got a magnetic socket. Hold the housing with your left hand with the bolt in it. Stick your extension with your swivel socket on it and get it onto the bolt and line it up. Push it into the hole and start threading it. Once you get it started, run it up a little bit and then work on the bottom bolt. That one might be the little tricky one. You might need to put paper on your bolt before you put it on your socket. Paper on the bolt. Okay? Just so you know what I'm talking about, in case you don't. Man, worked like a charm. Only problem is sometimes the socket sticks to it. And just get your extension magnet on there and just break it loose with a screwdriver or something. All right, make sure you snug them up equally because you don't want to snap it. You don't want to break your housing, unevenly torquing it. So tighten it up equally and then tighten it up. It's only plastic, but it's got a metal sleeve, so don't over tighten it. Okay, I got them all, both of them tight, tightened them equally, and tightened them up. Now all I need to do is put the hose on there, and I'm gonna get a new hose clamp because mine was too big. So I'm gonna get a new clamp and put it on there and tighten it up. And make sure you get the clamp past the little nub part of the extension housing or the thermostat housing. You know, put it right on the next to the hump. Okay. And there's the end of it, and put it right there. Boop. So when you tighten it up, it pinches it up against that little hump. All right. All right. Put the clamp right next to the hump and tighten it up. Now that you got the hose clamp tight, now you need to plug in your alternator and plug in your I'd plug in the dipstick tube first on that little tab, and I get my I think it's the knock sensor. Plug my knock sensor in and just line everything up, and then get your bolts into that little bracket and get them started. Also, if you got some antifreeze in your connectors, spray them with some brake clean or contact cleaner and then blow them out. Start your dipstick tube onto your bracket and then push your dipstick tube onto the tube that's in the block, and then line up your bracket bolts and get them started. Remember the 5mm Allens, and then put your 10s in on your little air tube, and then find me a nut because that one didn't have a nut, and then get that all done. Put your dipstick back in. Make sure none of your hoses came off from down below or anywhere. Oh, looks like somebody had that off down there too. All right. Then you need to top it off with coolant. fill it up, get it running, and get it to operating temperature, and keep an eye on the level. Make sure when it's hot that the level is good and you got heat inside the car. And then double check for leaks, and no leaks. And then that'll be it. And your fluid's topped off and you're good. So that's how you do it. If I helped you out with this video doing that thermostat, that's great. If you could help me out by subscribe to me, if you already subscribed, I appreciate it. So good luck. Thank you.